Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back, everybody. Question for you. What did you do for yourself today? Or what do you have planned? Anything? What about in the last week? Anything? You need to make time for that. And we're going to tell you why. We're talking about self-care today and how important it is to really foster the right body, mind, and spirit within you. And she harnesses the power of that with energy healing, yoga, and so much more. Kind of looking at a holistic way of life and healing. Linzi Schreiner joins us on the program. How you doing today?
Hey, Steve. I am wonderful. My favorite 30 minutes of the whole week.
Oh, my gosh. Raise the bar.
Raise the roof.
Oh, my God. All right. Well, self-care is so important, and I derailed not realizing it. I'm going to admit it right out of the gate, out of the beginning here, but I know why. But even before we get to that, what is self-care?
Oh my gosh, it depends on who you ask, right? Self-care is taking care of yourself, not to just use the word in the definition, but it's true, and it doesn't have to look like everyone is glamorizing it to be right now. I think society is painting self-care to be almost unattainable or that it has to look a certain way. But to me, self-care is taking care of yourself, and that is going to change on a daily basis.
It is very individual because somebody may say, yeah, my self-care, I sleep in on the weekend. I pick one day, 3 hours, I stay in bed. I'm not jumping out of bed, rushing to work, doing things for the kids and all of that. And that could be self-care. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's fantastic, right?
Yeah, of course. That's fantastic. What have you done today for self-care?
Nothing yet. I was going to go to the gym. I didn't make it. I just have other things to take care of before the end of the week. But I'm planning on taking a walk later today, relaxing. Tomorrow I got some things floating out there. Usually for me lately, it has been just taking a moment, whether it's reflecting. And side note, I write down commitments to myself, and they can be for me, but they can also be things that I need to take care of. And it's not just a list of to-do things. It's more of, it's a commitment. I need to do them. It's almost like challenging myself. Going to the gym is one of them. Meditation 3 times in a week minimum is another one of them. But I want to ask you, why do you think people don't do self-care? Are they not sure what it is, or what else happens there?
Well, I think what happens is exactly what you just described. I want to argue in a very polite way that I bet you've done a lot more than you think you have for self-care today. Because self-care isn't meditation, and it isn't going for a walk, which are great. Those are exercises. Those are things we can do to help our central nervous system. But what if instead it's taking a shower, making sure that you brush your teeth, that you have washed your face, that you put clean clothes on today, that you made yourself your favorite cup of coffee, that you ate a nutritious meal, even though you wanted the donut, because you know that you need to take care of your body. Self-care is taking care of ourselves. And think of the things that you resist with regards to grooming yourself or showering or eating good foods. Self-care has been glamorized as meditation, exercise, face care, getting facials, getting your nails done, going for walks, running. It's become a task list that feels unattainable. And therefore, if we do not do those things, we have a sense of failure. But I would like to frame it in the way that self-care is doing the things for yourself that nurture you in the way that you need in that moment, even if you don't want to. For me, it's washing my face and taking vitamins at nighttime. If I don't do that, I have resistance. For whatever reason, I have resistance to those two things. But I made a commitment to myself because I care for myself, because I know I need to do those things, because doing those things help me sleep better. And I need to take vitamins because of dietary restrictions that I have, that I need to make sure I'm fueling my body. But I'm even teaching this to my kids right now. Like, you have to take a shower. It's funny, little kids don't ever want to take showers, but I always phrase it, we have to take care of ourselves, because one day mommy's not going to be here to make you take care of yourself. And so for me, self-care is literally tending to your needs. And when we don't do those things, when we, wanted to take a shower, but we were too tired, we couldn't force ourselves to do it. When you wake up the next morning, you just don't feel very good. You weren't able to rinse off the day. And it's because you betrayed yourself. We have the ability to tend to our needs in a way that we don't prioritize. And I think the action of going for a walk and meditating and all the things, of course, that's self-care. But what if it was more simple than that? Drinking water, brushing your teeth, washing your face, and then the extras as well.
I see it in a different light now. I really do. And we take it for granted because we do those things. But drinking the proper amount of water, wow, that is self-care, because we don't do it. And it's it's critical to feel better, to nourish your body with the right kind of hydration and all of that. I also feel, too, that many of us don't do what we really want to take care of ourselves out of guilt, and guilty as charged on that one. I remember 6 years ago, there was a new gym that opened up right next to this office building, and I had no excuse. Now I can go to the gym. I mean, it's right here. It's like maybe 1,000 feet away. I would go to the gym. I signed up, would go to the gym. I'm on the treadmill. 12 minutes in, I start feeling guilt. I'm like, yeah, I really got to get to work. I got to make sure this is taking care of that. I got to support my family, blah, 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 blah. I left the gym on a regular basis. Now I flipped it around to the point where if I don't go, or if I don't do what I feel I should be doing for myself, now I feel guilty to myself. Hey, you cheated yourself, dude. Come on. I'm going to make it up tomorrow. It's a different mindset. But do you think guilt creeps in there for a lot of us?
100%. I think that's where that betrayal comes from, is from the guilt. Because that's what the guilt is. You feel like you're betraying yourself, or maybe you feel like you're neglecting some of your responsibilities. But I also think that guilt stems from really self-care, and taking care of yourself in this way is coming online over the last, 10 years, let's say. But before that, it was all about self-sacrifice, tending to others' needs. And as a woman, especially, we get celebrated for nurturing our families, for nurturing children. But there was the idea of it was selfish to prioritize your needs before your family's. And you and I have used this example in previous conversations around a mask in an airplane, right? Like they always say, put your mask on before your children's.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now society is beginning to see the value if a mother or a husband or a father takes care of themselves, they're therefore better able to take care of their family. And even now studies are showing that children, especially girls, will mimic the way their mother tended to herself in raising their own children. And so the importance of, especially a female, to tend to her needs and to prioritize her needs and let her children see that she's doing that helps regulate their nervous system, and therefore sets a new tone for how they will raise their own children. It is that important for us to model caring for ourselves in a way that they can see, so that they learn that. Because children, they don't learn from us telling them what to do or correcting them. They learn by watching us and by what we do. And I just think it's so important for all of us, men and women, to get a really good relationship with self-care and know that it isn't always a nice little bubble bath. Sometimes it's simply making yourself do the things you don't want to do because you know it's going to make you feel better the next day or in the next coming hours, not skipping meals, making sure you're eating 3 meals a day or two, whatever your preference is, making sure you're drinking your water. Because what happens is we get sick, we get tired, we get fatigued, we're not functioning well, we get grumpy, we get irritable, and that just has its own thing. And it all stems from neglecting yourself and betraying your own needs and prioritizing others over your own.
I don't think we can overdo self-care unless it gets in the way of normal activities. Well, yeah, I'm not going to go to work today because, I'm just going to go to the beach and relax, or nothing wrong with that. But if that's on a regular basis, or, I'm not taking my kids to soccer today, I'm going to do something for me. Well, maybe they need to go to soccer, but short of those types of things, can you really overdo it? I don't think you can, now that I'm thinking about it.
I don't think you can either. You're right. You have to prioritize and make sure that you're fulfilling your needs. But I mean, just with the work example, like you said, don't do that all the time. But there might be days where it is in your best interest to call in for the day and just take a little time.
Sure.
Because maybe if you pushed through, you don't execute as well. Maybe you say the wrong thing. But if you take that time, maybe you're better able to execute the next day. It's a balancing act. It really takes a relationship with self, which can be challenging when we're fishing through society's impressions that we've had since children. And there is that guilt. Am I guilty? Do I feel guilty because I'm doing this for myself? And it's a real thing. And it doesn't come from you. It comes from the pressures you've been put under and the things you've heard, and probably how you witnessed your parents treating themselves when you were a child.
Well, 100% there. And that goes back to some of the things that we talked about, the little traumas, the limiting beliefs that we got as kids. So if you feel that somehow inside of you that there are times where I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, all of those things, that can creep in there when you're thinking about your self-care. I was like, there's where the guilt is. You might not even know why I feel guilty, but you do. Do until you realize it. But maybe it comes back to the most universal thing there is, and that is loving yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Self-care is loving yourself. Yeah. It's showing up for yourself.
If you don't, if you haven't gotten to the point where you can say, I love myself, I really do, I'm good, you're a good person. If you can't say that, you're probably not going to care for yourself, i.e. self-care, to the extent that you really should or need to. You're probably always going to have that little guilt thing creeping in there at some point.
Yeah, and that's where Reiki comes in to help. So everything you're talking about right now, guilt, confidence, self-esteem, self-care, self-love kind of lives here, but it all is in where the inner child lives, which is in our solar plexus. And our solar plexus is, to take it to a really woo place, but these are very real energetic centers that lives right in between the rib cage, and your inner child runs that show, and we filter everything through that. Our self-worth, our self-confidence, our ability to have confidence in self-care and how we tend to ourselves, and the worthiness comes from that place as well. And so depending on how you were as a child and the traumas that you experienced as a child, big T, little t, whether it was a huge event or something small over time, that really impacts how we treat ourselves now, how we witnessed our parents treating themselves and taking care of themselves, and also how we were treated and felt at that time between the ages of 0 to 7 really depicts how we then in turn talk to ourselves and treat ourselves and how we view the world.
Never thought of Reiki to, I guess, clear out your solar plexus from these things of the past. For me, it was hypnotherapy to achieve that goal. I never thought of it in terms of Reiki. Can we put a little microscope on that?
Yeah. And hypnotherapy is another way to do it. Therapy is another way to do it. I just speak from the Reiki lens because I'm kind of biased with that. So Reiki works with the energy center specifically, and it helps clear blocks. And blocks occur from little things like watching too much TV, like from smoking a cigarette to eating unhealthy food, to big things like trauma, stress, events that happen throughout our lifetime. And if we don't do the work to recognize, acknowledge those aspects of ourselves and we absorb them, they absorb into our energy centers and can create a block there where you're not able to fully let that energetic area flow. And Reiki comes in, it knows, it's very intelligent life force, and it will clear and smooth those things out so that they either can come up to be acknowledged and discussed and facilitated in a session like with me or with a therapist, or both, or it just clears it away if it doesn't need to be acknowledged, and it helps unruffle those feathers so that that energy center can function at its full and best way, where instead of feeling guilt, we experience self-compassion. Because when we have unhealthy energy centers and healthy energy centers, and they function in similar ways, just like with the Enneagram, if you're into that, like we have a healthy way of expressing it or an unhealthy way of expressing it. And based off symptoms, we can diagnose whether your energy center is blocked or not moving or stagnant, or maybe you have slight movement or too much movement based off of what's going on in your world. And Reiki will help bring that into balance so that you're functioning at a healthier level. So instead of doubt and being low self-esteem, you are more confident and recognize your self-worth. You feel empowered. Our confidence comes from the solar plexus. And so unhealthy, I'm not feeling very confident. I'm feeling very insecure. Healthy, I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling very secure about myself, and I feel very self-empowered.
I've had Reiki before in conjunction with hypnotherapy. And now that I'm looking back at this, maybe it was also Reiki that helped get the job done, and I didn't even know it. Yes, I felt the benefits of Reiki. Right. Lighter.
That's how it works.
Amazing. And for somebody, let's be honest, hypnotherapy can be sometimes when you're visualizing your past, it can be a little heavy, sometimes a little emotional. And some people are really not into that, but it gets the job done with what we're talking about, those different types of traumas from your childhood. But you don't have to do anything with Reiki. You just sit back and let somebody like you take care of it.
Yeah. And if it's in your best interest for it to come up and to be discussed, then it would. But if it isn't, if it's going to cause more harm for you, then it will help clear it away. And what you're describing is, maybe it was Reiki. That's kind of how it works, because it is such a gentle experience. You don't always know. It feels so natural and organic that you always sit back and go, was that or was it just a coincidence? Well, let me tell you, there are no coincidences. There's only synchronicities. And yes, it was that. And it starts the second you begin to say yes to that energy. It starts the second you schedule something. I have so many fun examples of clients saying, this started to really come up in mind and I haven't thought about it in years. And I will always say, hey, did it start coming up after you scheduled the session? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, it did. Because Reiki's already starting. Like, as soon as you're ready, as soon as you say yes, that energy begins to flow, because we have freedom of choice. And until you're ready, until you say, I want to work on this, then it's not going to happen. But as soon as you're ready, that it just takes that permission, and then that life force begins to flow.
I've never heard it described that way. Wow. Kind of an eye opener here, mind blow, because it makes perfect sense. It's all about the flow of energy. So even just making an appointment, you're changing the flow of energy to a more positive state. And yes, one of the first times I had Reiki virtual, which it can be done fabulously. And yes,
I think virtual is more powerful, honestly.
I think so too. And all the sessions I've had, those have been the best ones. And yes, I thought I felt something from my head to my feet to my head again. And of course, I was in my head like, you're thinking it because you know that somebody's doing Reiki somewhere, so you're imagining it. No, I wasn't. I really don't think I was, but I try to use some rationale, logic in that. But no, just what you said. It's pretty amazing.
It's amazing. And just to tie it back to self-care, sometimes we have resistance around self-care, but we don't truly understand why. I've worked with so many women that that will tell me, I know what I need to do, but I can't get the motivation to do it. I just feel blocked. I know I need to drink water, but I won't do it. I know I need to take my vitamins. I won't do it. I know I need to wash my face every night, but I'm not doing it. I'm not taking care of myself, but I don't know why. That's where I come in, and where energy healing really helps is it helps clear the blocks and helps you understand yourself more, so that we can identify maybe even the pinpointing the reason why you feel that way. And 9 times out of 10, it's a solar plexus thing, that it's from inner child wounds that either need to be witnessed, released, forgiven, but there's something there. And that's where energy healing is so beautiful, because it can help bring that up without hypnotherapy. With, I do EMDR to work through some of my own issues, and it can be very intense. But I just find Reiki so gentle and loving. Like, it does the work for you in a way that is gentle and in your best interest. And if you need a therapist, it will guide you to the right one, because Reiki isn't just in the session. It continues afterwards. It continues working with you after my hands are off your body.
Your hands don't actually touch the body.
Yeah, they do. They do in person.
In person. Yeah.
But not remotely.
Yeah. I see this in a whole different perspective now. And it's funny, when we first started talking today, talking about self-care, in my mind, it's like, well, all right, she does energy healing. Where's the connection with the self-care? Let's just go with this. It's all in the holistic wheelhouse. Now I get it, especially for those of us who have those blocks. And yeah, what you just said is so widespread, where people say, I know I should be doing it, I just don't. I know this, I'm just not doing it. Yeah, even washing your face. I know I should be washing my face every night. I just don't do it. I don't feel like it, but I don't know why. I don't know why. There is a reason why. There's a block of energy. You should be doing it. We should be drinking. I don't drink enough water. Why don't I? I'll bet
there's a part of you that doesn't think you're worth it.
There you go.
And you are. You're so worthy of your own love. And if you're not giving yourself your own love, then there's almost a resistance and a grudge that can happen towards the ones that you do love. And it may simply stem back from the fact that you need some of the attention you're giving everybody else. That's why you feel so deflated.
Yes.
Because you've abandoned yourself.
Mm-hmm. And then there's those other situations, like you could be in a relationship and the other person is doing the self-care thing, and you're working your butt off, thinking you need to work your butt off, but and then there's resentment, or can be, because you think you need to do this. You need to, not take care of yourself and take care of the other stuff, but that's not the truth. We're living lies.
Yeah, self-sacrifice was celebrated for years and years and years and years and years, right? Like, you were a hero because you worked, 15 hours and didn't eat or drink anything all day. I think that mentality is slowly changing because I don't know how effective you can be. How did you feel after that 15-hour day without eating or drinking? Right. I'm sure that it takes a few days to recover from that. Mm-hmm. How are we prioritizing ourselves? How are we loving ourselves? And then what does it feel like when you don't? That resentment builds and builds, and then you have no idea where it's coming from. 9 times out of 10, it's because you're neglecting your own needs. And you may not even know what your needs are because you're so energetically blocked.
Yep. On that point, how do we find you?
You find me at www.plyhealing.com. And you can send me a message through Contact Me, or set up a Zoom call with me, and we can just discuss it and see if I'm the right person for you.
I have to be honest. I've spoken to lots of people who do Reiki healing. I've never talked about this and never realized that with the solar plexus, that's where the blocks reside, and how Reiki can open that up. And even I said before, I've had Reiki, and I felt better because I was doing hypnotherapy. But again, it was probably in concert with the Reiki that got the job done. Yes, I felt the benefits of Reiki, sure. But there was probably so many more going on, I didn't even realize it.
Yep, that's amazing. How it works. It's beautiful.
It really is. Now I see it even more. Linzi, thank you for today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll catch you next time. We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.